News, glorious news. We're anxious to hear it. DC 20 made $1 million. What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live from Site B, 8:30 in the morning on this foggy 10th day of June, 2024. It's time, once again, as we do every Monday, to open up our charts, take out our sextant, and plot our course through the tumultuous maelstrom that is the tabletop role-playing game world of internet nonsense. Happy to have been your guide to all this since 2015, so going on 10 years of doing this for you guys. And of course, the number one story that is going on in the tabletop role-playing game world is not Wizards of the Coast directly. It's DC 20 from Dunegoncoach, fully funded in 1 minute. That might be a record. Already hit $1 million and still going. And not surprisingly, I mean, I said it was going to hit $1 million the day before it hit $1 million, and it did. And I said, I bet you all the hypocrites that are bad-mouthing this are going to jump on the DC 20 bandwagon and talk about how great it was. And sure enough, that very same day, a certain individual who was one of the many who was bad-mouthing it a few weeks ago was like, oh, I love this game. It's the best game ever. And I bet you, again, these same people 2 weeks from now will be back to shitting on it. So we'll see where it goes. But congratulations, Dunegoncoach. You stuck to your dream. You put it out there, and you made it. And it's unbelievably successful. And hopefully it lives up to the hype. Unfortunately, a lot of people are calling it Dungeons & Dragons 6th edition, which it's not. It's a completely separate beast. So I'm concerned that a lot of the people that are jumping on the bandwagon because they think it's going to be some new Dungeons & Dragons, but it's from a completely different product, from a completely different dude. And it's, well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of D25E in there. There's also a lot of Pathfinder in there. So there's also a lot of 4th edition in there. So it's sort of this mutant thing that's, but yeah, calling it 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons, no. 2024 Player's Handbook, when it comes out in September, will be 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons. But it's nice to see some competition. In other news, the other big news, of course, Wizards of the Coast, because it's always Wizards of the Coast. It's the covers. The covers are getting a lot of news, mostly negative. We got, this cover, and then we got the Mindflay cover. This cover showing the TPK. We got Minxed, and I'm thinking that's Boo right there. We got this individual who I've been told is somebody important in the Forgotten Realms. And we've got this individual who is getting killed. And apparently the artist has claimed that the third individual, this individual over here, why you don't see their face, because it's supposed to be you. That's you. That individual represents you in this situation because they wanted to see you. They wanted that you see you in the art. Hey, that's me. Because, yeah, that's a selling point. The first thing I want to think about when I play Dungeons & Dragons or any fantasy game and picture myself in the scenario is dying to tentacle horror. Dying, or worse, to tentacle horror. Also, people are like, hey, how come this beholder's not using its eye beam to just cancel the magic because the anti-magic ray? And that it is a rather large beholder. I mean, I used to imagine beholders were about the size of a beach ball to maybe the size of a golf cart. And this beholder is like the size of a bus. Like, it's just going to gobble up these dudes, no problem. But yeah, I guess that's the size of beholders now. Or maybe maybe beholders inflate like pufferfish. Right before they're about to bite down on a dude, they double their size so they can, get the thing down their jaw. Maybe they have reticulated jaws like snakes. I don't know. It just seems to be an unusually large. But yeah, these dudes are dead. And you can picture yourself suffering tentacle horror. The alternate cover, of course, being the Mind Flayer, which just unusual choice. If the game is Dungeons & Dragons, you should put a dragon on the cover. Not Nightmare Fuel Mind Flayer, but whatever. We know that this unofficial official history book is coming out from Wizards of the Coast, detailing the modified history of the game from 1970 through 1976, as written by somebody who wasn't there and probably isn't old enough to have even owned a copy of the first edition, which is weird because we are getting a lot of the people like Rob Kuntz to come out of the woodwork and talk about the fact that they were there. You know, people who were there when Gary and Dave were creating the game weren't asked about the history, weren't questioned in any way. The guy who did the Secrets of Blackmore movie and is doing all this Dave Arneson Blackmore stuff every single day, Griffin, was not consulted for the movie. I mean, for this book. There's somebody who's already done 5 years of research on the history of the game, and nobody reached out to him. Nobody reached out to Rob Coots. Nobody reached out to Ernie or Luke, as far as I know, in regards to the history. Instead, they've gotten this other guy who is, well, one of the two dudes involved with this used to work for Paizo and has only been doing this for like 5-6 years. The other guy, who a respected Dungeons and Dragons historian, didn't bother to question any of the people who were alive, who were there when they were first playing it in the 70s. Did you question me? I was playing it in the late 70s. No, you know, and of course, because it is being seen through a very prejudicial magnifying glass, the individuals who were there are even more angry. In fact, one of them has said he's going to write a letter to Hasbro in regards to how just disgustingly insulting this book is to the history and legacy of Dave and Gary. So, yeah. Other news, Roll20 purchased Demiplane, which should maybe be a good thing. Fantasy Grounds hired Adam Bradford. Who's Adam Bradford? He's the guy who designed D&D Beyond. It took D&D Beyond from a simple little freeware app to store your character record sheet on to the huge AI monster that Wizards has turned it into. Well, now he's working for the competition. Good for you, Adam. Other news, we got some new Alien stuff coming out from our friends at Free League. And I'm sure there's something else that we're going to be upset about. I don't know if the Doctor Who controversy is gaming related, but that's certainly something everybody's talking about. So yeah, I guess the big story is Dungeon Coach. Congratulations, Dungeon Coach. I knew you're going to be successful. I didn't know you're going to be this successful. I knew, you know, a year ago when I first started talking about DC-20 and I first heard the people saying DC-20 was the D&D killer, and I was like, I don't know if it can kill D&D, but I certainly hope it's successful. And then there was that long period of time when we didn't really see anything from DC-20, and we were like, what's going on? Have you already given up? And I said, you know, if I don't see anything from DC-20 by Gen Con, then it's probably not happening. Well, Dungeon Coach put it out. And it's out, and it's made $1 million, and people are coming out of the woodwork singing its praises. Notice, I mean, I did reviews of it like 3-4 months ago when he sent me the PDFs. And now, yeah, as predicted, pretty much every prediction I've made for DC-20 has come true. So let's hope my last prediction for DC-20 doesn't come true. And that's my biggest fear, that in 2 months, this game will be forgotten, that the people who are singing its praises now will be talking shit about it in 2 months, just like they did with Kelsey and Shadowdark. And a year from now, people will be like, what? I mean, just look at Tales from the Valiant. Tales from the Valiant and all this big hype going into it. It came out. It's out. It's on the market. You can buy it, and nobody's talking about it anymore. Same with Adventurers, Conquerors, Kings 2nd Edition, the game that got me kicked out of the old school. People literally sent me threats because I said I wasn't going to back it. And I was like, why do I need to back this? Everything he's done, I already have. And oh God, did that piss off the old school. Oh my God. Even people I respected and I thought were my friends were like, fuck you, OGGM. You know, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about that? Let's go even sooner. Eve of Ruin, the Vecna thing, where Wizards of the Coast and all the 5e people were like, oh, this is going to be the biggest thing in D&D. You haven't heard anything about it since then, other than the fact people don't like it. Every review I've seen is like, oh my God, this is a piece of crap. Which would remind my moment to remind you once again that our good friend Scott McClintock did a Vecna thing several years ago. It's available on DM's Guild, and it's 1,000 times better than Eve of Ruin. So there's my weekly shout out to Scott McClintock. I'll have some interviews this week, hopefully. I'm going to be on a thing tomorrow talking about Shin Ultraman with our good friend Ironcaster. This Friday, I will be talking to George about gaming in the 80s in different parts of the country and the world, which, as you know, is a running interest of mine. So hopefully that's something that we can make happen. Got some other interviews coming up. So yeah, but that's it for this week in the news. What do you think will be the most controversial story that's this week? Let me know where you are, what you're thinking, what you want to talk about. Till then, have a great Monday. Stay safe out there because it's still weather. I mean, yeah, it's weather. And hi, Frank. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. ACKS is kind of crap. I'm sure it might be or it might not be. I read through it. I had people talk to me about it. And at the end of the conversations, I was like, okay, everything you said, I already have a book or an article that does that. I don't need to spend $150 on another retro D20 clone when I've already owned all the other retro D20 clones that I've ever wanted to own, and I will never need another one. And oh my God! I mean, people I never suspected that would go after me for something as simple as saying I wasn't going to buy this book. And I love being told we're kicking you out of the old school. Yes, pundit stuff is brilliant. The stuff from Red Room as source books is brilliant. Obviously, I'm a little bit, favored to the Wretched Vigilantes source book because I wrote them. But the stuff Sylvia and Miguel makes, even if you don't use the Wretched system, they're some of the best source books I've seen since the GURPS stuff. Obviously, yeah, pundit, amazing sort books, amazing stuff. Definitely, yeah. If you don't have his stuff and you're looking for source books and stuff to really just deeply research that isn't mine, check it out. Or you can buy my stuff, because Wretched Beastery was like a year's worth of work. The cryptid stuff alone, I mean, yeah. So just buy my merch. Don't give money to ACKS. And if you don't buy my merch, I won't kick you out. I will still appreciate you, even if you hate my stuff. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. You know what to do. Please like, please share, please subscribe. 2,000 subs by August 4th. It's not much to ask. And I'll talk to you all later. Until then.
Yo, check. Yeah.